Uh, Voting. It's a wonderful, debatable, ironically, topic. Not who actually people vote for. Not actually what it entails. But apparently people get mad or upset with you if you're just like, nah, I decided not to vote for the past 12 years. And it's a fascinating subject, People always say, regardless if you believe a candidate, you pick the lesser of two evils. And I'm like, but you're still choosing evil, It's not very godly. Oh, Jesus. Gotta love these young buckaroos telling you about, finding purpose. And, I don't want you to fight the storm I had to fight through. It's like, bro, you're literally looking at an eyeball to study for your anatomy class. I don't really know how much struggle you've really gone to. It's always funny, these young bucks around here. Always talking to you about, I don't want you to have to go down the dark path that I did. It's like, dark path, huh? And then you look at their car outside and it's nicer than yours. You're like, I'm pretty sure that's your dad's or something. Yeah, I'm sure it was really dark. It's like, all my friends are out there getting trashed and chasing lust. But here I am, chasing purpose, I went through a dark breakup. She was texting my friend Buster, and she was busting a rhyme, all right. Oh, when you get older, they're busting more than rhymes. Kick back. Split, tic tac. Then, if they're in a Chris Brown video, a few ladies backstage are grabbing a few things. I don't know, what would you do, What do you do if you find out your girl goes to one of those meet and greets with Chris Brown, I say, yo, excuse me, miss. I'm done across the room because you're running it. Because if anything he says is true, you might as well just call it a wraps. Like, do we really think a guy who's doing meet and greets with a song called Wet the Bed is really keeping it cordial or professional? It's crazy, There's this whole thing about, like, taking your girl to these concerts, and it's situations where, they bring someone on stage and they do a little dance, or, like, oh, me and your favorite artist. And next thing you know, he's bumping and grinding, sweaty, simulated sex on stage. And then you just have to be there like, wow, this is why you want to come. You want to be the chosen one. But you told me I was the chosen one. And she's like, yeah, but Obi-Wan Kenobi has come to save the day. Oh, and you're just sitting there like Anakin. Just a rat little bastard with a little rat mole on his head. Yeah, Anakin, young Anakin had like a rat mole on his head. I guess people say the same about me. But I won't rat you out. But I'll tat. But yeah, voting. I'm such a fool. But yeah, voting is this very interesting, hot topic of debate. And I think it's very generational. I think there's anyone like 34 and older is very innate on, you should, like, it is your obligation to vote. No matter what, whether it's local, vote for a zoning of districts and schools, voting for governor, voting for all these elected officials. And then, we have the big cahoon going on now, the donkeys and the elephants. And then you get someone in my age range, I think anyone from like 25 to like 31 is in that range where we just are very indifferent. We don't really give two shits about it. We don't dislike it, but we don't really fuck with the whole process of what an election of any type is really all about. It's all about Like, think about the word campaigning. You are basically trying to sell me something. And I don't really want to be sold something. I'm not in that business, you know. I hate, like, one of the biggest turn off for me is when someone is trying to be a salesman to me, you know. That's my job. Sell you a dream I can't fulfill. I'm kidding. Kind of. But, you know, that's the thing. We're always trying to be sold something. You know, you're just walking around and then some guy's like, hey, you know, ever thought about investing? And you're just like, I mean, I've thought about it, but what the fuck are you asking me for? Like, I'm just here to get some laundry, you know? I'm just here doing laundry. It's like, hey, you know, I have and anytime someone just says generally they're in real estate, you're like, are you really? Because I've never seen your face on any signs saying put $8,000 down today, you can have it tomorrow. Never seen you on any of those. You gotta be careful with anyone that says they're in real estate, you know, because that can mean anything. Like, oh, I sold a condo one time, and you're like, what have you sold since? The same condo 3 different times. But no, you know, voting, it's an odd thing, you know, where it's a definition of like hyper emotional beings. And I understand the patriotic aspect. I understand the civil duty to an extent. But at the same time, why does someone feel the need to, if someone doesn't spend the time to really study or really give 2 shits about something, why do you want that person participating in something that they really don't have a desire to give a shit about? Because isn't that the biggest thing when we hear about people talking about politics, is people that are just speaking bland ignorance, or people that are just speaking general talking points or repeated talking points, but you want those same people to go to the polls and vote. It's a crazy thing, right? It just seems this contradicting thing. These people are all about, it's your civil responsibility, right? Like, I understand it's a privilege to be a citizen to an extent. And I understand people that come here and become citizens, how meaningful that is. But those same people, whether you were born here or become a citizen here, should never feel the obligation to vote or do something in the land of the free, quote unquote, that you don't feel sits right with you, you know? You shouldn't just vote or do something just because of, quote unquote, peer pressure. We teach our kids not to peer pressure, but then you peer pressure your kids to get into shit that they don't even know what the fuck they're getting into, you know? Like puberty blockers. I'm just kidding, kind of. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, you know? And, you know, what's funny is it's funny how now the political candidate rollout is going on just the biggest podcast. It's crazy. It's like anytime there's something to sell, but think about it, anytime someone's got something to sell, they're going to go on the biggest platforms and shows to sell it. And, you know, it may seem like just a genuine conversation of interest, but really they're putting their name out there, trying to become likable, which is what politics is. It's not really about selling you what they're going to do. How many times during these shows, these podcasts, how many times have they told you about what they're going to do? No, they just speak about what someone else hasn't done or the bad shit they did do and tell you nothing about what they're going to do. And so it becomes this unlikable. It becomes this unpleasing. It becomes this just like waste of time to even think about. And what's crazier to me is when people attach someone's presidency to anything that's happened in their current life. Because for like 97% of people, whoever is the president, your life is either going to still suck or it's going to be as good as it is right now. Like, you're not going to go from being homeless to being, you know, making $80K a year the next year because some guys or girls in office. That's just not really how this stuff works, right? Now, I understand there are programs and stuff that can be heavily influenced from presidential figures or elected officials that can maybe give opportunity to people that haven't had opportunity based off their situation. But also at the same time, these main elected officials are more of just messengers than they are actually like creators of things. There's a lot of branches, quote unquote, like the president is the executive branch in the middle. Like anything, even if they want to pass something, they can still be vetoed from the judicial branch, the Supreme Court. Like, it's not like if a president wants a law, it's going to happen. Now, Congress and all of them, you know, House of Representatives, Senate, you know, House of Representatives can pass, get enough votes, the Senate passes through, and then it goes to the president, like, hey, I want that to go through, and the judicial branch decides that. It's not this just automatic. If the president wants something, they get it. That's why they always stress about the importance of, if you are going to have a president affiliated with a party, to typically have people predominantly attached to whatever that political party is, so that whatever vision they have, regardless if you like it or not, something is at least going somewhere. Even though that's kind of a weird, fucked up thing anyways. Because people get so attached to parties that it becomes, you know, not exactly the life of the party. We like to party. But apparently Jay-Z and Beyonce bought a crazy house and paid it all in cash. But apparently they didn't really. You know, rich people stuff. Something like they took an asset. They took a loan out on their mortgage. So then they actually paid their loan out with asset. I don't know. It's some bullshit. Some stuff that is a kind of deja vu to me. Got 99 problems, but a down payment ain't one. But you know, it's just, to me, going, you know, staying on top. I just don't get the obsession with, like, why do we want every single person? Like, if you don't vote, you're a piece of shit. Well, I think if you voted and you didn't truly believe in the vote that you put in, you're worse. Not to turn the tables on you motherfuckers, but I'm just saying, you know, I understand this is a generational thing. Maybe it's selfish, and I acknowledge that. I think it is kind of, you could look at it as like, this is kind of back and forth conundrum here. Is that you are being selfish and not thinking beyond yourself and the greater good of the country. When really, a lot of people vote for their own best interests, which is fine. But if you're really thinking outside of what's the best interest for the country or the nation, sometimes you would probably, if you were looking at it from a bigger picture standpoint of what would benefit more people and that would maybe not benefit you as much, it probably would not be always the candidate you vote for. So by default, everyone votes or doesn't vote in their best interest. And it's not always for what's best for the nation, the state, the country, the county, the city, whatever province you live in. Everything is selfishly motivated. And my motivation was, I didn't want to fucking wait in line. And to be honest, I'll be straight up really honest with you. I didn't even know the election day was yesterday, the 5th. I knew like it was the month of the election, but I didn't know it was fucking yesterday. I didn't know it was like, oh, this is the fucking day, you know? I thought like, you know, typically, because there's typically like a gradual rollout of things. Like you start seeing more interviews and stuff like 3 weeks ahead of time. They went from being on this show a week ago, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this person's your fucking president, you know? And this person, like, oh, they're not. I didn't know the final fucking day was, you know, yesterday. I know the results were official today, technically. I didn't fucking know that. But that's how out of touch I am. And I think that's how out of touch everyone is. And also, really, the election and politics and stuff like that, it's really just a way for people to get mad about something that really does not affect most people in their direct every day-to-day life, but it's just something to feel something towards. You know, it's like when people talk about the border crisis. I don't know what the laws are, but has an illegal worker ever really took your fucking job? For 98% of people, not directly. You know, it's not like, hey, we literally found cheaper labor. Get the fuck out of here. It's not really like how it works for most jobs, you know. Like, has anyone ever, like, a lot of these things that we want to get mad about, like the border and, you know, gender, sexuality and stuff, and laws to, you know, for, you know, abortion, and just like these very hot topics, like a lot of these things, like Israeli crisis, you know, our issues with our, you know, our powers with allies, our enemies, bombs and nukes, you know, why do we worry about that? No, but all these things don't really affect you directly in your everyday life as much as you think. Now, maybe it's just like something to care about. Maybe it's something like you worry about. You know, we always say we worry about the future of our children. It's like, you know what? Our parents said the same thing about us. And guess what? We all still suck ass and eat ass. Nothing wrong with a little nibble. Because either way, China's tracking you. You know, I think this technology is so advanced. Like, I think it was called the Huawei phones. The Huawei, the company, or is it Huawei? I think it's Huawei. Where it's basically like, I always call it the Huawei. Basically, the phones that I think AT&T literally said, we will not service these phones anymore because it was so bad how bad they were tracking shit in that. How bad China was tracking every fucking thing. Like, you know, I don't think people realize how much these technology and like computers and stuff, how much it really watches and detects everything. Is it something I sit around and worry about? Not really. Because it's just accepted reality. I accepted that I'm always being watched. Because no matter where I go, this is what's happening. Don't get me started on these fucking assholes hogging the benches, but whatever. You know, I really almost had a moment today. I almost had a douchebag gym moment. You know, not to change the subject. There's two people occupying the two fucking benches for 40 minutes on their fucking phones, doing a set maybe every 4 to 5 minutes. And, you know, at first I try to be patient, like, let me keep my chest primed up. Let me do a couple warm, you know, and then you start doing some bullshit seated chest press movements. Like, you know what? My pump's about to go away. I was starting to get visibly frustrated, and I think they saw it. And I was trying not to be that douchebag in the gym. But I'm also not someone that wastes his moments, wastes his time. And when you have Bible thumpers wasting your time because, you know, they want to talk to you about the efficiency of life and God, what he brings to you, while they're wasting time on the bench because, you know, you got a bigger purpose than what God's got for you. I'm kidding. That sounded pretty condescending. So is you pushing God on me. I guess I'm the asshole. Because I didn't vote and I don't believe in, you know, religion at this point. Even though everyone's trying to get it on me. Put it on me, baby. That's the thing, you know. Not to be... Oh, yeah, by the way. Welcome to episode 306. Gee, I got so lost in the sauce. Elections. Jesus. Tracking phones and your ass eating, you know, repertoire and your habits. Probably knew, like, you like the tailbone or you like closer to the gooch. Or the cooch, I should say. I keep forgetting the gooch and the cooch are like two different denominations, apparently. It's all relative, you know. Either way, might get a little poop taint. That's disgusting. But yeah. Welcome to episode 306 of the Off the Beat podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to suck some titties. And yeah, we're recording this on November 7th, 2024 at 1:16 a.m. Eastern for the archives. So yeah, anyways. But yeah, you know. It's a lot of relativeness going out here, you know. It's all relative. What's right, what's wrong, what's your moral obligation as a citizen. And yet, these are the same people that if they were forced to do jury duty, they would come up with every fake excuse to get out of that shit, you know. Imagine being one of the people on jury duty during the YSL trial with Young Thug. And you're like, I'm literally just sitting here for fucking 6 months. Like, we know this man was part of something. How many people he decided to go after? I don't know. But obviously, there's enough there. People, you don't just end up in court because of a big misunderstanding. Like, you don't go from like, hey, this guy put a hit or physically killed 5 people that actually he had no affiliation. He didn't know any of these people. He didn't know anything about these situations. It's like, obviously this person knew some and participated probably in some of it. Now, to what extent, you know, that's where it gets a little iffy. But anytime a situation's iffy, you could bet Drake is going to attach himself to it and be like, hey, I'm part of that gang. Free Young Thug. And apparently him and Demar are having a little situation, you know. The man he used to rep in Toronto, like, you know, the face of the franchise of Toronto for the longest time. Apparently now, what team is DeMar on? The Kings now? Which he's actually from Compton. He's actually from California. And he played in Toronto. And now Drake's going... Apparently, courtside was causing a lot of issues with DeMar. Let him know his distaste for participating in a Kendrick Lamar music video where he's from Compton. And that's where Kendrick Lamar is from. Now, I'm a Drizzy fan. I gotta say, Drake, it's kind of stupid, you know? I mean... I don't even know what more further to say. Just because he played for the Raptors doesn't mean he's Canadian. He probably has a Canadian. I mean, I'm sure he has a Canadian passport. But I'm pretty sure you haven't been invited to Demar Derozan at your mansion the past 5 years either. You know, it's like chances are he participated in a music video. Yeah, it happened to be a pretty substantial diss track towards you. And yeah. Not like he was out here saying, like, fuck Drake or nothing. It's just like, hey, it is what it is, you know? They're the ones that fucking traded him. They're the ones that traded him. He didn't, like, want to leave Toronto. They fucking traded his ass. And he won a chip because of it, you know? But yeah. Maybe, maybe Drake, maybe Adonis. I think this has potential. So, you know, Bronny with LeBron. Bronny James is, you know, let's just say he's a fringe NBA player. It's not really going too hot. Hasn't shown too much NBA promise. I feel like maybe, that may be a situation that happens with Adonis, you know. He's going to try to do rap and stuff. And he's probably going to try to, like, oh, you know, I'm gonna be on the same label as my dad, OVO. And then he's like, he looks like Central C, and he sounds like a Lil Mosey. And that is not a compliment. I'm sure, he'll find some good penmanship for him, if you know what I'm saying. That would be wild, right? When Adonis gets older, Adonis is going to diss track Kendrick's son. That would be crazy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Kendrick has a daughter. Son or daughter. They're going to do diss tracks against each other. It's going to be like a generational diss track of like their families. Like Drake and Kendrick went after. Adonis and Kendrick's kid is going to go after it. And their kids are going to go after it. That's going to be the real hip-hop beef, But I think Adonis will probably go more of the route like Jaden Smith. Probably I feel like Adonis is going to go more into acting or something. I don't know why. Maybe be like Ice Spice. That's a wild statement. Kind of looks like, But yeah, I don't know what it is, We like, there's something about, there's this weird fandom around like young girl rappers, like 18, 19, 20. Where like men in their 30s are just like lusting over them. And it's kind of weird, I get it. Like, I'm not saying you can't look at a 19-year-old on stage and be like, wow, she's well put together. She looks very mature. That's still bordering a little something. But at the same time, they're dressing like that. Whatever. They're legal age. But it's something to be like obsessed with that. Like, it's okay. Like, hey, if you're like 24 and you like Meg Thee Stallion, shoot your foot at your own will. But it's kind of weird. She basically admitted to lying, and Tory Lanez is still in prison, but whatever. In her words, more like it's not even in her words. She literally is creating the whole narrative. The whole documentary is not biased, and I haven't even seen it. But you tell, like, it's literally produced by her team and all that. This is not really a documentary worth having if you're going to talk about a situation. If you want to talk about your life, your experience, whatever. But I guess it technically is her experience. But it also had criminal effects of someone else involved in that. And apparently it's not adding up. But whatever. What do I know? What the fuck do I know? It's kind of weird that they would make a whole documentary putting that shit out to publish and make money off of, and then somehow there's no real repercussions from it. But whatever. It's the world we live in. Everything's about profiting. But yeah. I don't know, I'm just, going back to the whole voting and presidential election, I don't really have much feedback because it does not affect my day who the fuck wins. It really, to me, it does not matter. Like, I literally feel nothing. I don't feel any, or ooh. Regardless, because it is not going to change the bills I have to pay. It's not going to change what I'm going to have to do, the hours I'm going to have to work. Except people, some people will say that, if one person's elected, they're going to make it where overtime is not taxed. I'll be like, yeah, we'll see about that. I feel like that's going to be, it's not like someone gets in office and it happens like that, I feel like that would be a lot harder to pass than people think, But if it were, that would be great. But also what would happen, these companies would find ways, be like, oh, well, fine. Now I guess we're just going to lower, like they may even start lowering wages. They're going to find ways to define kickbacks in these taxes. They're going to find ways to tax you more when you do your taxes. Trust me. Where there's a way, there's a how. But, that would be cool, I guess. But it really just doesn't, the quality of most people's lives is not really affected by who's the president. Am I, an asshole or ignorant of saying that? Maybe it's just me, but I don't rely on who's the president to make my income. I don't rely on who's the president to, if I have what I need. I don't rely on the president to do the stuff that I enjoy. I don't rely on the president to do anything in the day. It all sucks anyways, because there's only so much one person can do. Even the head of, let's just say on a smaller scale, the head of any company, sure, they can have a strong leadership and trickle down effect, but they can't be there for every employee's problems, All they could do is put things in place to minimize the damage of when employees need time off or whatever, or are going through things, and awareness of the state of, your employees, the company. I guess a president, how many people's lives can you truly affect? Other than just making them feel good by the words you say, because that's really all campaigning is making people feel hope, right? And anytime it gets to the near of anyone's election turn, and this has been every year since I've been alive, so there's not any person speaking about, people are always just tired of that fucking person. I was like, we just need new life, We just need something new. We need something fun. Everyone wants something fun until an STD appears. Should have got healthcare, bitch. Not me. I'm just saying. That's what they're all saying out here. Everyone's just passing around the STIs. But not this guy. Keep it in the pants. No. Nah. But it's yeah, I think that would be a wild, uncovering story. We have, the Biden laptop, the Hunter Biden. That would be crazy if we just found out, a president was just giving out STDs, bro, around the White House, Hey, that's the first time you wouldn't want to be the first lady getting it. Talk about dodging a bullet. Well, JFK didn't. Sorry. But I guess Trump did. Kind of. More like segue to bullet. Damn, that took a dark turn. But yeah. What was weird? Is that whole, assassination thing probably helped his candidacy in the weirdest way. Which that would be wild, by the way. If, that whole thing was set up by his team and him. And it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not. But that would be wild to go through. All right, we're going to aim it at your ear. Hopefully it just gets the ear. We got to make it a little believable. You're going to take a little hit somewhere. We don't want the whole side of the face. It's just take a little bit of the ear. No one needs the ear. I don't hear none of y'all anyways. That would be wild, though, if he missed, though. And hit some, the forehead or the foreskin. But no, on a serious note, it really I think people are just finding things to get emotionally attached to, because a lot of people, I think, are just very desolate in their happiness, and these elections bring something to feel potential hope or to feel anger about, and the next 4 years my life's gonna suck because this person is it's probably going to have very minimal effect, if anything, to be honest with you. It's probably going to be your peers. It's probably going to be your job, your relationship with your kids, relationship with your partner, relationship with your friends, building relationships, meeting different experiences that are probably going to dictate the happiness or unhappiness of the next 4 years of your life. But you know what? I guess, have a figure you could blame it on. I guess so, There's other things, we rely on certain things to ground us and to bring us, to center us and to truly bring some type of, what is it called? Kind of like to bring a balance to ourselves. Things to kind of keep us humble. And we use things like religion and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever makes you a better person, I'm a fan of. If you pucker up the butthole before you leave the house, and that makes everyone feel good when they're around you because you're just loosened up and everyone feels free around you, then you know what? Pucker it up every day. Do what you gotta do. I don't judge. But if you're tight and anal, you're always in a shitty mood, you make people feel on their toes around you. And it ain't because they're curious about you. Because they're generally like worried if they say something wrong, you're going to smack them, That's not a life I would want to live. But, I don't know, it just feels like these things, they are just avenues to find something to be upset about. And I think every 4 years, these things, all they do is just expose how much people fake give a shit about this stuff. I'll just say, I don't really think people really give a shit about who's president. Most people really don't. But there's also this pressure where if you don't give a shit, you're not in tune and you have no right to talk about things. It's like you can have an opinion about something and not participate in it because I can see it. You don't have to participate in anal sex to be like, I don't know if that's my thing, It's crazy how you can't just observe something and be like, I don't know if that's for me. Like, I don't have to try crack to be like, I don't think my body will respond well to it. Doesn't sit well with my soul. I don't like the negativity it's going to bring to my life. But it's like, well, you know what? If you've never tried it, don't try to speak about the struggle. It's like, or I just don't create my own struggle. It's crazy. And that's a weird thing, not to be even more insensitive. But this is time to be insensitive. The word disease, I feel like, is a very loosely made term. And this part is going to get me in trouble. Like, probably, and I'm probably going to come off as ignorant. There's something about when people say alcoholism is a disease, right? I understand is perpetuated like once you become reliant mentally, cognitively, physically, it basically becomes a disease to you. It becomes an addiction, and addiction leads to changes in your hormones and your body and stuff like that where you're almost worse not doing it on a daily basis because your body's so accustomed that the wear off, the cycling off of it is more damage to your body, or it just makes you feel like complete shit, right? But when alcoholics try to compare disease, when alcoholics try to rationalize it and try to make their struggle of that compared to someone who has like chronic cancer of something that was like born within their genetics, or like, to me, I don't believe alcoholism is in your genetics. I think what I mean is like, I think you only really desire it if you actually like, one, if you had it in the first place and you consistently seeked it out, and then once you seeked it out enough, you become reliant on it. But like, just because like your father or your mother was alcoholic doesn't mean that you're predisposed just to be an alcoholic. I think you have to make that active choice to really even get involved in it. And yeah, I think maybe your body will respond a little bit different. Like, some people get drunk a lot faster than others. I do think there is some to like, the way you can hold your liquor is a whole lot different based off your genetics, based off your body mass, based off just the way your body's naturally wired and built, DNA and all that stuff. Yes. But I think a lot of people preconceive that just because something's quote unquote runs in the family, like something that's a choice to do, not something that's like internally, like no one, you can't, unless you consume alcohol, you can't activate that thing. Unless you consume mass amounts of it, you won't have the same issues as someone who consumed mass amounts of it. Because I'll tell you what, I don't care if no one in your family is ever drinking alcohol in your life, or if every single person in your family is an alcoholic. If you don't drink any alcohol, your liver's not going to die. And if it does, it's not because you didn't consume alcohol. It wasn't a pre-notion. But if every person in your family has never drinking before, and you drink, and it's because you have liver failure, and you drink and it causes liver failure, that doesn't mean your kid, if they have one drink of alcohol, is going to have liver failure. That's not how this works. It's all about choices, right? I just don't like it when people try to rationalize their alcoholism like it's a preconditioned thing from birth. Like, you didn't come out of the womb seeking freaking Heineken. That's not how this works, You saw someone drink it at a young age, you're like, let me try that. And maybe someone forced it down your throat. Maybe someone forced you to drink, peer pressure, and you really liked it, and then, maybe you just kept doing it. That's one thing. But that's still a choice. Regardless if you were very young when you made that choice or very old, that's the part of life. You got to live with it, You got to live and either learn to overcome or you'll become mercy of it. And that's something the Corinthians 3:18 will never tell you. I'm pretty sure it probably says it somewhere. But I guess I have to read to find out about purpose and resisting lust, which apparently that's a big thing. You could tell when someone is just getting into something. They're so fascinated. They're so in love with it. And I love seeing that. Grace, no pun intended. I love seeing that, that feeling when you first get attached to someone. Someone makes you feel good. I love that. You feel like this is the chick. And I feel that. So anytime, even when someone was spilling out their religious findings to me, even though I'm not always like nod my head, I feel like, hey, you know what? This person has something that makes them feel alive. Something that brings them purpose. And that's fantastic. So I just let them spur out the nonsense. It's cool. Not nonsense, but I let them spurt out what they're feeling, the love, and all that good stuff. But then when they start telling you, I just think your life would be better with Jesus. It's like, why do you assume my life is not fine? I'm bigger than you. No, I'm kidding. That is like the most gym dude ever. But like, how are you going to tell me what to do? I'm bigger than you. It's like, all right. But no, it'll be like, it's always the people that really haven't had any real struggle. They just had a few bumps and they got to like scramble around to find purpose. It's like, just go for a walk, look at the leaves, watch them blow away, watch the wind take you. Go get a dog. Go get a girlfriend. Go on a dating app. Get some pussy, And then you'll realize, this whole lust thing ain't too bad. It's like, all my friends are out there just getting drunk, getting fucked up tonight. It's like, yeah, because they're seniors in high school. That's what you're supposed to do. While you're here studying the cornea of an eyeball, they're out actually, looking a girl in the eye, really studying the anatomy. I'm kidding. But no, all props to the kid. I'm happy for the kid. I genuinely am, I think it's just a prime example of like, when you first get into something, don't start going around preaching and teaching to people with more experience who've actually have gone through things just because they've lived more life, you know? Like all this struggle you're talking about, I hear you. Your struggle is your struggle. But, you know, don't make your whole life about your struggle, you know, because then you're just obsessed with it, you know. Not to get too preachy here. I know I'm contradicting based off hating on someone for preaching. Now I'm about to preach to you, but let the boy cook. Damn, I do gotta cook. Reminds me. I think is people. I think the issue when people seek out these endless anatomies of purpose is that it always comes after their most darkest point of their life, and they seek it out almost out of desperation, not because they're actually looking for something welcoming to warm their soul or looking for something that's actually gonna legitimately like bring balance to the life. They're looking for an extreme turnover, you know, not an apple turnover, but they're looking for an extreme, like, I'm so down bad, anything's better than this. And they seek something that's going to make them feel hope and alive. And it's that, damn, this made me feel so good, I almost owe like my life gratitude to it. Or if they would have just waited a few months, you know, just done a few things, better their habits, have a more regimented schedule, get shit that they wanted done, work on stuff, then seek that out for something bigger than themselves, I think that would be a more natural, healthier relationship with it. But when it's so rash, it's like, it's almost like if you were married for like 9 years, you have 4 kids with a woman, and you find out that, you know, she got impregnated by the mailman, you know, and she's moving in with him, taking all your kids and your money, and you realize all those packages he was delivering, there was nothing in them. They were fake packages, and there was only one package she was looking for, and there was no tracking device on it. And you lost it all. You're down in the dumps. You're suicidal. You're eating banquet family meals. You're living at your cousin's apartment. He's dating a 25-year-old even though he's 42 because he's divorced and his wife left him because he was an alcoholic, you know, the disease. And life's pretty down bad. And then all of a sudden, the next woman you meet, let's just say it's a woman you work with, she's not really like someone you really want to be with, but she's so nice to you. She changes your life. She takes you out to dinner. She lets you move in with her and her mom. She's a caretaker. She just loves you for you, even though you're a piece of shit. And she got you out down bad. She made you feel good. She made you feel like a man again. And then, you get a job. You turn your life around. Things are on the up and up. And then, it's almost like because you met that person in such a down time that person did so much for you that's almost like an unfair relationship. You know, it's not even balanced. It's not even like a give and take. You're just taking, man. You're a bum. You're a waste man. And it kind of goes to that direction where it's almost like you look at something bigger than, you look at something that's bigger and better than you were ever able to do for yourself, right? And it really makes you in a spot where you're always kind of at mercy, no pun intended. And you're always kind of submitting to being a weaker version, and you never actually empower yourself to do better. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's like you should, when you enter a state of whether it's finding something bigger than yourself or meeting someone that makes you better, but you still are in a good enough place where you make their lives better too. You know, you kind of work like, if you're going to convert to something, you should be able to bring something to the religion, not just fucking take, you know? And I think a lot of they just take and think like the only thing there is pass on something that they had no original thought or idea in, you know? They just take, you know? I don't know how that all connects, but it made sense in my head. So the point of the matter is don't be a bum, you know? Take care of the people you love, and they'll take care of you without you even asking. Don't go around talking about your struggle. Because if you talk to anyone that's like 7 years older than you about your struggle, I swear to God, they're going to laugh at you in their head. They may be nice to you. They may be courteous. Like, damn, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad to hear you're pulling through. But I got shit to do, so let me do my 3 sets. But yeah. I guess the moral of all that is you know, don't feel guilty for not voting. If you don't believe in what you're voting for, don't do it. That's okay. So, yep. I think I'll end it there. That was episode 306 of the Offbeat Podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, and the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to suck some titties. Yeah. Crossing my legs. Just watch someone get pegged. But don't beg. I do this on the reg. I know a girl named Meg. A Family Guy said, Brian, are you dead? No, I'm not. That's not. I don't know. Is Stewie British or Scottish? Anyway, he's the real football head, Charlie Brown. But yeah, maybe Charlie Brown and Family Guy should do like a mashup episode. I don't know how those styles will fit, but either way, I got a rock in my pants. It's a moon rock because the gravitational pull is all the way to the ground, baby. All right. Have a good one.